those who we say this every time, but there may be some people who don't understand what we're doing. We're gonna redirect the stream from Forte's channel to the DPS channel so that we can continue to keep getting engagement there, and eventually have the whole entire podcast all streamed from beginning to end on the DPS channel. Forte is up now. You can double check it whenever you're ready.
Yep, it's already there. So, all right. I am getting the. Do you have the link already?
I will have it in a second.
All right, he's going to drop the link just in case for some reason it doesn't redirect you. There will be a button that will show up in the chat, so a go button that will take you over there, or it would also do it automatically. Or if you don't, for some reason, just click the link that he's putting in the chat. We are about to jump over there right now. Once again, really appreciate you guys. We got up to 41 on this channel. Show some support on the new channel. Once we get it up to a certain point, we're going to transition the whole show over there and do DPS on that one channel. We won't do this anymore, but really appreciate everybody. We will see you guys over on the Damage Protected podcast channel for the final topic that we have when it comes to PlayStation layoffs and where the industry is going in the future. With that, appreciate it, guys. See you over there.
All right. Yep. Okay. I see it. It's been picked up. So, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out today. I have put 6 hours into it already. The footage I have on screen right now is just the demo. I haven't been recording anything because I've just really been just trying to enjoy the game. I'm not playing it as a way to like if I was recording what I've been currently like doing in the game, people would be like, man, this man just riding chocobos, fighting random battles, leveling up weapons. I'm not like the story parts of the stuff. I'm pretty much still in the first chapter. And I understand completely where people were saying when it was like, if you want to platinum this game, it's going to take you to like probably 150 minimum hours to like 200 hours to get that done. I completely get it now, considering how big the map is and just the first chapter area and everything they're showing you. And so that whole area very much is introducing you to the new things that you can do and the new ways that you can do side missions, side content in the game. The combat, so much, I think, expanded on it so much more with the synergy system compared to the first game, with implementing some features of the combat, like the shortcuts. Kind of, they work very similar to how Crisis Core worked, and the game's just really good. Like, there's so many things that they brought over that improved from the first game, such as you have materia for like deadly dodge, which is essentially you do a dodge roll, and then if you hit attack, as soon as you finish your dodge roll, it would do a special ability. This is something that now every character has that. It's just, you don't need a materia for it. And so them kind of taking some materia that weren't that improved the combat a great deal, but weren't really all that necessary, and kind of just pushing them into the regular combat of the game is great. I'm enjoying that. I will say this: my concerns that I said previously on the podcast about the visuals are still valid. This is, and I understand why it is the way it is. You got these big open world areas that were not present in the first game. This game is still running on Unreal Engine 4. You got these huge areas that are present, and Unreal Engine 4 is not the best for open world environments. And so all that has created the issue where there's this blurriness. Because if you look at the environments, they're far more detailed than they were in the first game. The character models, whenever there's a conversation, they kind of go into like a cutscene kind of look, and the character models are actually more detailed than they were in the first game too. But the open world, especially playing in performance mode, it's almost a catch-22 at this point, because it's like in performance mode, in performance mode, it sticks to 60 frames per second for the most part, but there's this blurriness on everything, and it's basically 1080p resolution, and they're trying to use an upscaler up to 1440p, but the upscaler is not working very well. I kind of feel like they probably should take a little, for performance mode, take a little detail out of the environment and have that, like, maybe that can like help the the visual look better, and with better resolution. It looks super blurry. I tried to play it in resolution mode, that's 30 frames per second. I couldn't do it. Now visually, yeah, it's better. It's better visually. It's not as blurry, but that 30 frames per second, it's just this judder anytime I move the camera with the right thumbstick, and I'm like, it was giving me a headache. I just went back to performance mode, because I'll just take the higher frames with the blurriness, and just maybe I'm a PC guy that doesn't like that, this is the way it is. But it's what we have to deal with when the game's exclusive to PlayStation 5. I will be definitely getting this on PC when it comes out on PC eventually, and where I won't have to deal with any of that stuff. But I'm hoping for the final part of the series, that they just upgrade this to Unreal Engine 5. I know the directors have said things like Unreal Engine 5 is incomplete. Unreal Engine 5 doesn't have what they need in order to make the game. But think about this: the third game, when it comes out in this FF7R series, when it comes out, it's probably going to be the beginning of next generation. It's going to be a PS6 game. You're gonna have a PS6 game running on Unreal Engine 4, an engine from the PS4 era. Like, no, you can't do that at this point. It has to be upgraded. That said, they've made improvements with the synergy system. I mentioned that before. Down, like, synergy is not just when they introduced it in the intermission DLC from Remake, where it was Yuffie and what's the guy's name? Nolan? I can't remember his name. He's dead. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
he doesn't matter.
He don't matter. But they introduced that synergy system there. Now you with the way it works, it's not just immediately like in the demo where you have all that stuff unlocked, and you could have Cloud synergy, doing synergy with Red 13, with Barret, with all of them. You have to unlock this, and there's like a skill tree for it, and you build up skill points through combat to unlock that. And then you can get kind of like special abilities where, like, you can actually do a fire attack or a wind attack that doesn't really cost you anything, and other that gives you like damage multipliers and certain things. So like we used to get all that stuff through our weapons in Remake, where you would have the skill tree for your weapon in the Remake. Now they have applied that with the synergy system, and so it's a little bit more robust there, in addition to giving you specific abilities for your weapons, where you can apply a particular modifier to your weapon. For example, with Cloud, you can have it where his Punisher mode does 5% more damage, that kind of thing. And then they still have where each weapon has a special ability, and you gotta keep doing that special ability so that it is a learned ability for the player, for the character, and then you can now switch to a different weapon and they can still do that ability without that weapon. So all of that is a lot of the stuff they're teaching you in the first chapter, and story wise it's great. Like the very first beginning, oh my, Forte, you're gonna be like, oh my god, like when the game first starts.
I already know I am.
You're gonna be like, say what? Like I was just like, wait a minute, what is happening? I don't understand what's happening here. There was just so much going. I'm not going to ruin it, but like the game starts out with a oh-ish moment. And so that's all I gotta say about that. It's the next time I'm probably going to finish up with this open world map. I'm literally unlocking everything. They got kind of like towers, which is kind of Ubisoft-ish, where you kind of go to a tower and then it kind of reveals things in the area. And then there's so it's Chadley. I recommend everyone do this. Chadley's back. He was the little blonde kid that you would do, like you would do his little VR things in battles and get materia for summons from, and then you would also like get materia from him. They kind of expanded upon that, where you're using those little towers to help him gather the intel on enemies, so you don't have to do the assess with him all the time. And for example, so he has a summon materia for Titan, and I tried to fight Titan at the current level I was at, and I got bodied. Like, it was just no chance. Like, I'm hitting the guy, I'm getting like 3 like HP off of him per hit. He's slapping me for like 400 HP. Like, it's just like this. I'm not winning this. But you can actually go throughout the map and unlock things when it comes to summons that weaken him, so that when you unlock them all, you can fight him at a state that's a bit maybe more manageable for where you're at that time. So what else am I missing? I feel like I'm trying to say everything I can that doesn't have a spoiler, but also kind of explains where they improve the game. But no, I'm loving it. It's a great time, and I think it's going to be definitely a game of the year nominee. I think that's a foregone conclusion with its reviews, with how well how well and how good it is. Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to add? Because I feel like I've said a whole bunch.
Nope, because I can't wait to play it when this show is over. So yeah, I want to see that beginning part. I heard the same thing from a couple other people. It's like, man, when you first turn it on, you're gonna be like, what happened? What I missed? Is something going on that I didn't know about? Is this the beginning of the game? But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I will say this. I do want to ask you this. Being a person that literally just finished the PC version of Remake, how starch of a difference is it going back to playing on the PS5?
Like I said, man, my eyes are they're struggling. It's the blur. It's just the blurriness of things. Like you know, the iconic moment. Because like I even though if
fire and everything, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So for example, so like if you did the demo, you did the Nibelheim flashback sequence, and you also get the Junon part. If you do both parts of the demo, you can skip those parts if you want to. I chose not to skip them because I wanted to see how much of an improvement they made on those sections that I played like 500 times in the demo. And you know, it's like there's iconic moments. Like, for example, when they take the picture, when the guy in Nibelheim takes a picture of Sephiroth and Tifa, teenage Tifa and Cloud all together in the picture. And Ramon wants to say the word is Stark, Forte, not starch.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Ramon.
Thank you, voice actor extraordinaire, for correcting me in my speech impediment. Thank you.
But that's an iconic moment, right, in the Final Fantasy VII lore. And I'm looking at it, and it's blurry. It's a blurry. Like, the guy takes a picture and they just standing there, and it's just like, it's so blurry. And it's just so that part, it really kind of like irks me, because I'm just like, I'm coming from the game looking amazing on PC, you know, and I'm playing with mods. I got characters looking, well, all kinds of crazy outfits, and then, you know, consoles, they have the limitations, man. They have the limitations, but it is what it is.
Interesting. No, man, I can't wait to jump in there and play it. I was looking at your gameplay and I was like, man, this does look blurry. Where is this a film grain that's stuck over the top of this video?
I think there is film grain in
that you can't turn off.
Yeah, it might be. I feel like I can't remember. I have to double check because I went through the settings and I think I turned off. I don't think you have much of an option with a lot of this stuff, but I can't remember if there was film grain or not. It's been a long day, but yeah, there's the blurriness is unfortunate, but it's wild. But the good thing is that Digital Foundry said that a lot of the issues with like textures and blurriness and low resolution all happen in chapter 1. So when you get out of chapter 1, there's less of that there. And maybe it's to do with the fact, like, I don't think in this footage I actually show, this is the demo, so this is not even the full map. But when you get into the game, you look at the full map of chapter 1, it's literally the size of like a Fortnite map. And it's humongous. And so I can understand the limitations they were having, because when you play Fortnite uses a very simplistic art style. Like there's not a lot of pixels being used per character, or the grass that you're looking at. Like it works for the art design and how the game is set up, but it's done like that on purpose so that they can make sure they can maintain certain frame rates. They can, showcase their engine in its best light. The problem with them using this engine, which has the same limitations that Fortnite has, is that you look at these character models, they're far more detailed. Mm-hmm. You're looking at the world and the environment, it's way more detailed than they had in the first game. There's not enough memory available to really kind of do these things. And it's not unlimited memory for you to just take the same map size that someone would get with Fortnite and then do all of that, and it'll look with a visual fidelity that Fortnite has never touched. It's not going to happen. And so I can understand why chapter 1 has the majority of those issues, but then you start going into other areas where it's not as the actual level that was designed for that area isn't as big, and therefore they can actually they got a little bit more to work with at that point. So
makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to be playing the hell out of this for a while. This is I'm taking my time, of course, but I anticipate I might have this finished by next week. We'll see what happens.
All right, so shout out to the poll. We had 13 people participate. Are you playing Final Fantasy Rebirth? Yes, day one is 23%. No, not into Final Fantasy, 31%. Yes, when it goes on sale, 15%. And no, I have nothing witty to say, 31%. So those people just don't give a care at all.
What is witty? What is that? What is that word, Forte?
I just put that. I was having a brain fart at one point. Witty is WITTY, and I put WITHY. Withy.
I have nothing witty to say.
I looked at it. I was like, oh yeah, is that X? That H and that T should be another T, but whatever. Shut up, Slomo. At least I know my fault. But all right, Slow-Mo, transition. Shut up, Ramon. Face slap yourself. So I'm going to turn this over to Logic. So you had a lot of good things to say on Brap yesterday about this, and I definitely want to hear some of your expertise again on this, because you kind of made me even kind of rethink some of the stuff when it comes to everything that we were talking about over there. But SIE and PlayStation, or SIE PlayStation, same company pretty much. They laid off 900 employees over the course of this week. A lot of studios were impacted, pretty much even the studios that have been performing when it comes to Gorilla, Naughty Dog, and Insomniac Games. They're shuttering and closing London Game Studio. So that studio is about to be no more, but they are going to have some type of program in place to kind of transition people over. So that's always a good thing to see. But the narrative around all of this right now, especially from just this side of the community, gaming, people not really understanding everything that's going on. What is the first thing you think of when you just see PlayStation and SIE come out and talk about these layoffs and the type of impact that is having not only in just this community, but just in gaming in general?
I guess I'll start with PlayStation. PlayStation has a history of expanding, right, and then the business changing, and then it tightening its belt to do this. We saw this during the PlayStation 3 generation. We saw this in the transition from console generations 7 to 8. They are an organization that in my mind, trying to see, there's not really another good company to compare them to as far as the layoffs are concerned, but just in terms of finding a way back to being lean, they're a lot like Apple, right, in that perspective, meaning Apple cancels stuff. Apple cancels lots of stuff. Apple cancels far more than we will ever know and ever see and ever be exposed to. The same is true as Sony. Games get canceled that we never see and are never aware of. They have a governance system in place where there are periodic reviews of projects as they incrementally proceed, and things that are not going well, right, get canceled. And so this is happening I mean, like I said, like I keep saying, all of these instances are unfortunate. This is an instance where I think Sony would have done this regardless of what's going on with the rest of the industry. It's a matter of where their organization is, and the things they have to do given where the business is. It's not unusual. It's cyclical. They will cut. They will grow again if business takes an upturn, and they will get to a point once again, right, where they need to readjust and realign to where they think their strategy is going.
Forte. Did we lose Forte?
No, I thought he just said. Was that you who said? Or I thought that was.
Yeah, that was me. That was me. Wait. Okay. So look, I'll just. We'll I don't know what Forte's doing. We'll keep it going. I think.
No, my mic had got unplugged, so yeah, I'm here.
How do you?
I was like, well, I moved my boom arm, my mic arm, and I didn't realize that my XLR wasn't plugged all the way in. So when I moved it came unplugged all the way, and I'm like talking like, "What's going on?" And then I noticed that my levels on my mixer wasn't even moving, and I was like, "What?" So there's that. But go ahead, Slomo. You were already talking.
No. Everything that's happening with them, I feel like I've seen a lot of talk, and I see a lot of people who they understand why they're doing what they're doing, but then I also kind of see them kind of, and I'm not saying this is what Logic is doing, but they're speaking as if like it's the studio closures, the layoffs, it's okay because what's going to happen is they're going to refocus towards games that sell the most. But like the people I see saying this are the same people that hate the games that sell the most. So I'm just like, Why are you okay with this? And it's not, and I'm not saying that like I understand the business side of things, and the entire industry is kind of going through these things, and we're going to see more of it after this week for the rest of the year, and hopefully it is over, once this year is up. But I get the business side of things, but as a consumer, like gamers, we're consumers here. We're not financial analysts. We're not, but maybe some of us are in our professional, lives, but we're gamers here. And I don't want to see a world where every big publisher, the only AAA games that they already don't do innovation as is when it comes to AAA games. They just go for the sure bet. They go for things that are tried and true, and they don't like to take chances already. I don't want to see these publishers stopping to not even finance small projects that are innovative and take a chance. I mean, we already only really get innovative ideas or new ideas that could potentially work, only really kind of come from the indie side of things already. But I don't want to lose the chance that we ever get another, even though I know we're never get another Gravity Rush, but I don't want to lose those kind of games. And I also don't want to lose from Sony them making the kind of single player games that they made that were iconic for them. Like they did things in a way that you only really kind of see from, say, like Rockstar, as to kind of find another example of a studio that would do those, like go that deep into cinematics, or making sure that when a character opens a door, there's like 20 different animations for opening that door instead of just one. That there's a level of detail there that you just wouldn't get for the majority of the industry. And I don't want to lose that for them making just Helldivers 2, which I'm showing right here, which is a fun game, right? But what Arrowhead did is amazing. This game is a success already, even though it's only been out for a little while. The concurrent numbers they had are well beyond anything they imagined. Clearly, the game has sold on Steam at a great level. Is selling good on PlayStation. This is what they wanted, and then some. What I don't want to see is that, like, now they kind of do what EA used to do, where EA would have success with a particular IP or a particular brand and just say, well, this is the way for everybody, for every game. So BioWare, Visceral, even though your games are very different than this one successful IP, we want you to start implementing stuff in your game that this game is doing, because we feel like every game needs to have this. And it's just, that does not work. And what ends up happening is that there's just more studio closures. The games that were of high quality that we used to enjoy, we don't get those games anymore. And I don't want to see that for Sony. So, off my soapbox. That's my thoughts on it. Forte?
Yeah. So, oh man, I think as gamers, you gotta understand. You gotta kind of separate the two things. It's like, you can understand the business side of it. Doesn't mean you have to like the business side of it. We understand that. We all know that the gaming industry ballooned in 2020, 2021 because there was a lot of demand out there. We knew that was a thing. We also know that gaming is still in a way better place now than it was then. Of course, a lot of these studios still have more and bigger headcounts now than they did have back in 2020, 2021. So they still grew their teams, but you got to kind of still look at the situation and be like, well, these people could have been used for something else. Anything, it's a lot of different things that could kind of happen on the back end. But that's just the gamer side, because a gamer should never be happy when stuff like this happens. You shouldn't be happy about stuff that like at all, because people are people, and that's the thing that should carry the most. But when I look at layoffs like this, when I look at decisions that are done like this, I see the stifling of innovation. Like you said, Slow-Mo, games like Guacamelee that we got, that was a side scroller, 2D side scroller that Sony took a bet on. And did it do as great as something like Last of Us? No. Did it even do as good as something like Killzone Shadowfall? No, but it was something that differentiated your platform from other ones. Remember when PlayStation 4 was considered the indie box, and all of these different games that came to the platform that you couldn't get anywhere else, and that made people want to buy a PlayStation because there was a lot of different ways to play games over there. Think about Hello Games and stuff with No
Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Like that was a bet that Sony made that game was going to turn out. Now, granted, it didn't turn out the way they wanted to at first, but look at it now. Look at what kind of game it is now, because we had some. It was able to stick around long enough to get it to the point where that game is a phenomenon at this point. People look forward to the updates in that game when they finally do it. But in 2024, could a studio like that survive a situation like they went back happened during the PS4? It wouldn't happen.
Yeah, no. If Hello Games would have launched No Man's Sky in the way it was launched back then in 2024, that studio doesn't survive the year.
Doesn't survive. So that's the thing that I'm not gonna say irritates, but that's the thing that concerns me the most about all of these different closures and just downsizing kind of happens. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that I understand it. I know why it's happening. I just feel like at some point we're pushing people away from the gaming industry because some of these people joined these studios because of, like, I know people that joined 343 because they wanted to work on Halo. I know people that joined Santa Monica, like, perfect example, Alana Pierce. She talked about it in her videos all the time before she went over to become a writer with Santa Monica. She joined Santa Monica because she wanted to write for God of War. So what happens with people like that? When Bungie did their downsizing, when they did that, you had people that moved across the country because they wanted to work on Destiny. They wanted to work for one of the better developers in the country and be a part of that, success that they were having. And then to kind of find out within a year and a half to 2 years, you're gone. What does that say to a person that wants to jump into this, this type of meat grinder where you don't know if the studio you signed up for, you're even going to be there? The studio might be there, but you might not be. Now, we're all going to say that happens at any job at this point. If you're not doing your job well, it's a good chance you're not going to be there. But most of the time, a lot of this stuff is happening because of bad decisions at the top.
I was about to say it, yeah.
That's what it is. It's
bad decision, and the people who made those bad decisions, ain't nothing happening to them. They good.
But listen, the man that made the bad decision literally went to all the studios. I'm not going to say it was a bad decision. It wasn't a horrible decision. I just felt like PlayStation went a little too hard in the live service arena by saying they're going to come out with 12 live service games within the next 2 years, which would have been 2025. Because I was like, dude, you don't even know how to make one. So how are you going to make 12 of them? So the fact that they are, moving back on that by saying they're scaling back to 6, we should have already knew. Well, a lot of us knew already that, okay, well, you're scaling back your live service. So what's going to happen with all the people that were working on those live services? So it just ultimately came down to, when was this going to happen? All of these studios, all your first party studios, they were making some type of live service game when it comes to, like, you had the Guerrilla was working on the online for For Horizon, you had Gorilla. They were working on what was it? A sci-fi, not a sci-fi game, a fantasy RPG, something game. I can't remember exactly what they were working on, something like that. And then Last of Us, we already know what they were working on. So the moment that they said that game was put on ice, we already knew some people at that development house was going to probably get let go because they just aren't going to be needed no more. So those decisions kind of cost people their jobs, and that's very unfortunate. And I know it's not as black and white as that. And, you know, the one thing I respect about Logic, he'll be the first one to tell me. He was like, yeah, I agree with you, but, you know, there's a little bit more to it. But this is what I talk about. Separate your gaming from your analyst hat and understand that, you know, these are still people. And we have to start thinking of those as people, because guess what? These corporations, they're just a number on a spreadsheet, a line item on a P&L, and the number one thing they need to do, and if you go back to what Hiroki Totoki talked about, we need to find a way to get leaner, more streamlined. We need to find a way to make more money by cutting our costs. And everybody knows the number way to cut your costs is employee retention.
Yep, because that's the
number way to do it.
That's a huge expense. Especially when how long it takes for a AAA development to happen. Look at 5 to 6 years. The number one expense people are going to have is the people who are making the games. Their salaries, their benefits, you know, family, the families they have, they're supporting their medical benefits. Like all that stuff adds up over time. It costs a lot of money, and yeah, that's going when they say we need to cut some fat, that's what they're talking about. When it comes to decisions made, where you know, I think Taroki made a good point about how, like, he was talking about Bungie specifically, but I think it applies to a lot of developers. Like, these are very creative people. They have great ideas. I really like talking to them, but unfortunately, they don't understand the business very well. They don't understand the financial side of things very well, and how things cost, and how we have shareholders that are expecting year-over-year growth, and we're not getting that when you're, you know, not hitting deadlines, or you're now adding more things. That say it's a great idea, but maybe that great idea might need to actually be implemented for a sequel or DLC, but not right now. We need to get this game out. We need to get it, you know, running, and we need it to be successful before we can start thinking about applying more things to it. And I think overall, all I really want is balance. I understand the business side of things, and I understand that, you know, you're going to have to cut some projects that may have looked great in order to make sure that the business is still successful. But I agree with you that 12 live service games was too much, and I think that they see now that wasn't really needed to happen. Some of them, they've canceled other games that we probably don't know of quite yet. What has been canceled outside of what game was it? I don't know. They shut down London studio, but there was something else that got canceled, and I can't remember what it was. But it's the 12 live service games was a bit much. Do like 3 or 4. See how it goes. Whether they fail or not, it's a learning experience for the next 3 or 4, so that you know what to avoid, what to take care of, what to do, and how to develop it. Like they learned with Helldivers 2. I think a learning experience for Arrowhead as well as Sony is being prepared for success, because the game blew up. And for a significant period of time, people weren't able to get into the game. And it wasn't due to server space. It was due to how the game was programmed. And they needed to get more bodies available to get the work done, to modify the way the game was programmed in order to allow more people in. Lesson learned. You know, be prepared for success. so that like when you drop your next live service game, not saying it's going to be guaranteed to be as good in as terms of success as Helldivers 2, but what if it is? You need to be prepared for that. And you don't want to end up, and we've mentioned this game before, like a Splitgate that had some success and were completely unprepared to deal with it. And by the time they got their server issues together, people have moved on. There's something else to play now, and you don't want that to be the case with you. And so I want there to still be good ideas that are different, that people can get into and enjoy, but I better not see it all be the same thing, and I better not see them really kind of like really lose their identity on what they used to make that was really good. By the way, Forza, I'm hearing a lot of background noise from you. I don't know what's.
Oh, you are? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't know what was happening. It may have been something with the mic, but cool. Logic, anything else you want to say?
No, I don't really have anything to add. I mean, to that specific topic of the dynamic of the layoffs.
Okay. So with that said, then I will.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
London Studio got shut down. London Studio's last game, I think, was Blood and Truth, which is a VR game.
Sure was.
Yes.
And PSVR 2 has not done very well over the past year, and they're now launching that on PC. But I'm kind of wondering if its launch on PC is to kind of take advantage of the PC community that's a much bigger community for VR, but not necessarily them investing any further into VR for first party or second party content.
Nope, it's a slash and burn. It is them exiting and getting out of that business because it's doing nothing for them.
Unfortunate, considering the hardware is pretty good. It's a pretty good VR headset. Yeah.
And they need to offload the headset.
And thank you, JC. The Twisted Metal game was canceled, and so that a part of Fire Sprite that was actually working on that got laid off as well, and so the Twisted Metal game is done. So thanks JC. I couldn't remember which game it was. My bad. Go ahead, Logic.
No, and that's really the problem, right? I mean, like, look. I mean, at the risk of me needing liability coverage in the future, I would say do not go out and buy a PSVR 2 headset right now or kit. You know, I mean, if you're really interested in getting into VR, you really need to think about doing that via PC, or I guess MetaQuest as a standalone. But at the end of the day, I think if you really want to experience VR at its highest fidelity, you really need to run it connected to a PC. But yeah, I strongly suspect. I mean, the telltale signals are there. I just don't see them, putting a lot of investment behind, continuing to support and round out the PSVR 2 experience on the PS5.
I feel like they should have launched PSVR 2 on PC. And I felt like that was, a lot of people said that was a big mistake, mostly PC people, because they these are people who are going to be interested in getting it. I tried VR before and it's not for me, but I know people who freaking love VR and definitely would have bought it on PC. And I feel like they kind of missed the opportunity there. Quest 3 wasn't out yet when PSVR 2 came out, so they could have had to jump having better technology in their VR headset than Quest 3 still has, and they really could have taken advantage of the PC market that where the Quest 2 is a decent VR experience, but completely like inferior to what the PSVR 2 had to offer. I think they probably, if they would have did that, they still would have been really interested in the VR space. But I think with the way things are now, and there's someone for smoking in the chat said that mentioned the launcher. They're definitely working on a launcher. We've seen job announcements where they've been looking for people to hire people for specifically for that particular project. Maybe it comes out this year, maybe it comes out next year, but a PlayStation launcher where you can buy those games and launch them natively on PC instead of having to do it through Steam or wherever other launcher, Epic Game Store, whatever. That's coming. And I think that would make a lot of sense considering PSVR 2 is supposed to be coming to PC later this year. Potentially, what if they did that alongside the launcher so they could, recoup 100% of the revenue off any game sales for their games off of there, or at least 30% off of the game sales for the more popular titles that you see in the the VR space, like Beat Saber and Demio and stuff like that. And then with the launcher itself, I think it would be, considering how Sony works, it would be a great idea for them to, of course, they probably would still keep it on Steam, get their games on Steam for the time being, but then if you want to get those games through PlayStation, they might have like bonuses to getting it there or whatever, but I think overall they really missed the boat with PSVR and just trying to lock it to just PlayStation. Even if it was supposed to go to PC later on, for that hardware, that was not the best decision.
Well, they tried to curate the experience on PS4 or PS5, so I get it. You want, control the flow of content that comes to it, but it was never going to be a situation where they were going to support it in a meaningful way that was going to make people stick with it. Like once you got past the initial launch games, people think that it's super easy just to, develop a VR game. There's still development uptime that needs to be taking place when it comes to that. So, the fact that that's the one thing we said when they first announced it, and they didn't have PC. Like they said, it's USB-C, one cable to your console. It's like, man, that would have been great if you could just plug it into your PC. Would have been awesome. You can, it's just a dedicated headset for your PC too. And people, I remember, all the way back then, people were saying like, no, PlayStation, it's all about the ecosystem. They want to drive people into that ecosystem. And I'm like, well, that ecosystem didn't do too well the last time. Like, yeah, once you got past the initial offerings, then it kind of died on the vine. And I always said that PlayStation was a really good hardware company, but when it comes to their software, with the exception of their major first party studios, because they let them take time and they just got really good developers that make that content. It's like PlayStation can make really good hardware, but when it comes to like keeping up with the software demand, that's the one thing they always kind of, lacking in. And they're gonna say it's because of the quality, how long it takes. And with VR, it's not so much about the overall quality of it, it's just the experience and the fun nature of what VR is. And most people aren't going to experience that. So are you going to make a AAA banger like Call of the Wild or Call of the Mountain more?
I don't know if that was a AAA banger, but I mean, I would say AAA banger is like Half-Life Alyx. That's a AAA banger.
It's only been one Half-Life Alyx, but in their eyes, that game was the killer app. Are they gonna make more than one of those a year? Are they gonna be able to make more than one of those a year? Because the studios that are making those games are the same studios that are making the traditional games. So that's kind of where I felt like they didn't have the studio count, like, to be able to support it the way they wanted to, because they were, you had VR, you had live service that you were working on, and you have your standard AAA development that you're working on. Which one of those are going to be the ones that's going to give first? You definitely want to try to go at the live service, because live service is like whatever is all the rage right now. And VR is like, well, we made this headset. let's see if we get some use of it somewhere else. So it's kind of just been like that. But I will say this, they do talk about VR a lot. It's just that people aren't buying it, or people aren't buying games for it. And that's just kind of the par for the course at this point.
And in my opinion, that's VR, right? Like whether it's on PlayStation or on PC, it's really not any difference. Like there is other than the Meta Quest, there is no breakout like big sale number VR kit. Index moves good revenue, but that is because it's
$1,000.
Exactly, it's being catered and sold to a very boutique customer base, right? That is willing to spend money on hardware. And you get outside of that ecosystem, and that thing would go nowhere.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now in regards
place.
In regards to PlayStation, the rest of their releases for the rest of the year, I mean, they got their third-party marketing deals. They got their timed exclusives. Look, Rise of the Ronin is coming. Crap, I feel like there's another game in the first half of the year I'm missing, but that is like a marketed deal, but I can't remember. But like as far as first party goes, they have Stellar Blade. I think, thank you, Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade's coming, which is from Shift Up, a second party developer for them. But they also, for first party, they have Fair Games, which is the Haven game, and they have Concord from. Is that Fire Sprite? Who's doing Concord? I can't remember which of these.
Isn't that the former Destiny 2 Halo guys? I can't remember.
But I thought that was Deviation. And I think Deviation's game got canceled. So I can't remember which developer is doing Concord. But these are live service games that will be launching on PC day and date as they do with PlayStation. And I mean, of course, they would love to see both of those games have the same level of success that Helldivers 2 has had.
Concord is Firewalk.
It's Firewalk, yeah.
Firewalk, thank you. Too many studios with fire in their name. Come on, be original. Be original, damn it. Fire Studio. Like, come on, man. Everything's fire. Anyway, I'm thinking about this, right? Like, so we saw the comments, and we saw a lot of the narratives that people are like day and day immediately. And look, I love to poke fun at some of you guys sometimes, so I love to jump on that. Yeah, day and date, baby, PCMR, just to mess with y'all. But the reality of it is that, and I definitely want to ask this to Logic, see what he thinks. I don't think it's if day and date comes, it's not coming anytime soon. But more along the lines, what I think it really is that what they're talking about is being more aggressive on the other platforms. And when they say other platforms, they mean cloud and they mean PC. They don't mean an Xbox. There is no reason for PlayStation to put their games on an Xbox. It is not the same impact as Xbox putting their games on PlayStation. Like, you need to understand the differences in scale here. The PlayStation ecosystem is 3 times as large as the Xbox ecosystem. Even though I think it is killing their brand to do so, they look at Xbox, looks at this and say, we put these games over here, and this is potentially a much bigger market where we can get these games sold to. That's not the same potential as PlayStation putting their games on an Xbox.
Right.
Where
why when my man says I need to tighten my belt, am I going to invest the level of effort to concurrently parallel develop a game to deploy to a consumer base, to a customer base of 27 million people?
Yeah. There's just, why make that impact on your brand for such a small payoff? even if it blows up on Xbox, its sales are not going to be what you're looking for. It's not going to PC, which is a completely different segment of the market with people who will never choose to buy a console, but might want to play your game, sure. But that's different than like PC. There's 200 million PC users who play video games. There's not 200 million Xbox users, so it's a whole different dynamic. But Logic, what do you think about like that whole discussion? And do you think it's more of like they're just going to be more aggressive with? They already said whole slate, so it's not like they're putting more games on PC. Like you can't put more than whole slate. You're going to, like put only games that are only coming out on PC over there. Doesn't make sense. But it has to be something to do, in my opinion, like with the cadence of release and how quickly they come out. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think, we've got, part of the problem is we have various people, quoting what Totoki said, and it all comes out differently. I quoted, what was said last night, and I'm probably gonna not be able to find it again, but oh, maybe I did. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is the quote, right? The quote was, "Another driver will be first-party titles." Sentence 1. Sentence 2, "Strong titles that achieve growth on PS5, PCs, and other platforms will widen our margins." Sentence 3, "We believe that we have opportunities for margin improvement and intend to pursue them aggressively." So it's 3 or 4 different sentences that a lot of people are merging. They're swapping, right? They're swapping the order that the sentences were said in, and they're arriving at, "We're going to make an aggressive push to PC." I'm looking at the quote. That's not what the man said. So, but I completely agree with you, right? The main point of that is that in a software development environment with an engineering staff, the term I'm going to make an aggressive push towards anything can mean a bajillion different things when you talk about software development. It does not mean by default that I am going to port games to another platform where those games run on a different abstraction layer, right? And close the distance between when they deploy on my own platform and when they deploy over there. That's a big leap in conversation. I absolutely agree with you. It could mean things like, and what I expect it means, it could mean I'm going to bring on another port studio like Nix's so that I can parallel up, like just like you said, the projects that are in run to bring a game over to PC. So I can bring 2 games at a time over to PC instead of just 1. So that I'm still porting the same number of titles, but I'm doubling them up. It could also mean, and I strongly suspect this, I think we've talked about this before, the back catalog, which has not really been addressed.
Yeah.
Right, but you have tons of games that have never been ported to PC, right? That could easily be, let's talk about it. This is the brand that loves remasters, right? That could easily be remastered and sent over to PC. And
we're seeing it with Until Dawn. Until Dawn's coming really soon. And that's a game that came out in 2015 on the PS4. And it's being remastered for PS5, but also launching on PC. And that's by Ballistic Moon, who are former Supermassive developers who actually worked on the original game, which, that might end up being, because it's a brand new studio, that might be coming like what they wanted to do with Supermassive, they might end up doing with Ballistic Moon. We don't know, right? And maybe they'll end up doing an Until Dawn sequel. But yeah, and I think that's what you're saying, Logic. That's the eventual goal. Bring those older games over as well. And if they find a home on PC where it takes on a new life, that might actually reinvigorate the IP to say, hey, look, we can do a sequel. And there's data here that shows that this sequel would do really well on PC, even if it doesn't doesn't sell game busters on PlayStation.
Right. So achieving greater growth, right, via PC and being aggressive to PC also may have nothing to do with the level of effort of engineering staff. It could simply be pricing for instance. It could be putting those games on PC and not charging $70 for them. It could be, just as you mentioned, opening up their own storefront, right? So that they're not giving up that 30% margin to Valve. So it can be lots of different things. It can be business model things. It could be sell-through things. It could be a partnership with GameStop, right? And I'm not, GameStop's not the best business to partner with, but I'm just saying, as a for example, right?
There's no shade to you, sir. You don't run all of GameStop. You just run, a couple.
I run my corner.
But my point is you're exactly right. So everybody, so many people leapt to this presumption that it meant day and date on PC, and there's nowhere in the realm that was said. You go back to the other interview that Yoshida did. I think this was at the tail end of last year, where he talked about, again, PlayStation, that brand, that ecosystem, the console, the hardware being their core. So then let me talk just a little bit through math, right? A lot of people say that there are more players on PC than there are on console. So first of all, on console, you're roughly talking about 300 million or so players, right? When you combine the install bases of PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. On PC, there's 132 million people, roughly, on Steam. You add a few over to Epic, for Epic. But let's also talk about the dynamic of the customer base on Epic. You have a lot of those players that are over there just playing Fortnite. You have a lot of those players who just go to the Epic store to grab the free game and then close the launcher and don't open it up again until they see another free game come by that they're interested in.
That's very true.
Oh,
yeah.
That's me.
Right?
That's me.
You have people on BattleNet who are just there
right now. What it is.
You have people on BattleNet. So yes, maybe there are a few other players on BattleNet, but Sony's not going to sell their games through the BattleNet launcher. You have launchers in foreign countries that, you have a large base in China that, again, you can't sell into China unless you go through a proxy company that you have to establish a relationship with, and you lose even more margin on. So there's not that many. I don't necessarily believe that there's more effective revenue generating customers on PC. A lot of people look at the 1.75 billion number, which is ridiculous. But the way that number gets built is when mom and pop play Minecraft and Solitaire, that goes into the 1.75 billion number. So pulling at that number is completely ridiculous. The other thing is, if you pull at that number, what I'm going to tell you is, looking across mobile, PC, and console, PC is the lowest earning segment of those three segments. So if you're saying there's 1.75 billion, you have to take the revenue that's generated by the PC segment, divide it by the total number of customers, and you wind up with an ARPU. That ARPU, when it's 1.75 billion people, comes down to like $22 per person. So again, if I'm Sony, am I going to invest money into a customer base that's paying, $22 something per person, whereas my ARPU on my hardware console is more up in the 200s. So the optics are different. Again, I don't think it's 1.75 billion. I think it's, at best somewhere, closer to, like you said, Slow-Mo, like about 200 million. Then let's talk about the math, right? If I'm going to put a first party title day and date on PC. So on my own player base, my biggest first party titles, my AAA games, I'm selling through at about 24 million. I've had a handful of titles that have maybe gone a skosh north of that, but let's normalize and bring it down to 24 million. So when I deploy to PC, I've got way more competition. I've got customers there who don't mind sitting and waiting. If they're on Steam, they get annual sales every single year. They're conditioned to not pay $70 for a game right out of the gate. So if on my own console, in my own football stadium, I sell 24 million of my own hot dogs, I'm not going to sell 24 million if I take my hot dogs to the Commander Stadium and tell them to buy my Detroit Lions hot dogs, right? So when I go to Steam, I'm just gonna pick a swag, and again, these are my framework. You can plug and play different numbers, right, if people want to. I'm gonna assume I'm gonna sell through 50%. I'm gonna sell 12 million of my first party AAA game on Steam, right? Steam, Epic, you know, whatever. I'm gonna assume I'm gonna sell a third of those, 4 million, through at my $70, right? That gets me to $280 million of revenue, right? The other 8 million I'm gonna sell at discounts based on the annual times that they go on sale on Steam. I graphed this out. I plugged some different variables in. I ran some automated formulas. I'm settling down on an average cost of $52.75 for those other 8 million sales. That gets me to another 491 million. So I'm now at 422 million. I'm sorry. So I'm now at 702 million that I'm making for deploying a first party game on Steam on PC. Now I take my 30% off that I don't get. I'm now down to 491 million, right? When I send a signal to the Steam player base, right, to the PC player base, that all my first party titles are coming day and date, there is going to be a knock-on effect of me not selling consoles. The equivalent number of consoles to the revenue that I'm generating there at the top before I take the 30% off is just under 1 million consoles. So I'm going to deploy all my first party games to PC. I'm going to lose a sale of about 1 million consoles. So then on top of that, the attach rate, when I normalize across PS4 and what we're seeing on PS5 right now, is about 12 titles at least, right, per console. So I'm going to lose the revenue on the consoles. I'm not even taking into account just yet the fact that at some point, depending on when that is in the life cycle, some of those consoles I'm not selling at a loss. So the consoles, the hardware is actually profitable at a certain point during the life cycle. But when I run all those calculations, I come up with about $1 billion in revenue for every title that I'm deploying to PC. So take however many big, and I'm mainly locking these down to the marquee titles, but look at how many AAA marquee titles you sell on PlayStation for a 7-year life cycle, and consider the fact that you may be losing up to $1 billion in revenue, right? Because you're not selling that hardware. Those people aren't on that hardware. They're not buying games for PlayStation. They're not buying controllers. They're not buying DualSense Edges. They're not buying PSVR 2. They're not buying PlayStation Portal, right? It's not zero. And my point is, whatever variables you want to stick in those numbers, my point is that there's a pretty intense math calculations that need to go on to arrive at a guarantee in a projection that you're not going to lose money by moving your titles to day and date. The other thing I'm not adding into here, I'm not adding in the additional cost of the software engineering that needs to go in for the additional development resources that are going to need to be hired and brought online to do parallel development to deploy on a separate platform where games run on a different abstraction layer. So my whole point of this is not the slam dunk that everybody is run with.
Yeah, and I definitely get that, and also that, like, the PC platform is they like different games, right? Like a RTS game doesn't sell on console the way it sells on PC. There are certain like tactical RPGs, certain shooters, tactical shooters that are popular on PC. Like earlier tonight, we talked about, I mentioned the extraction shooters. Extraction shooters are wildly popular on PC, as well as hero shooters are still popular on PC. Those genres aren't proven on consoles yet, and so when you kind of look at like what works on certain platforms, like for example, I know a lot of people when they saw God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, these games were coming to PC. They're like, oh well, there's nothing like that on PC. There's nothing like these games that come out on PC, even if they're a little bit older. They're gonna sell great on PC, and they did okay. They did okay for what Sony expected, but a lot of other people looked at it and was like, "Wait a minute, God of War only sold 3 million? Huh? Wait a minute, Horizon Zero Dawn only sold 5 million? And I don't know what The Last of Us Part 1 sold, which I think this gotta be end up being a disappointment considering the fact that
The launch was so bad.
yeah, the launch was so bad. The game still doesn't perform well, like now, performance wise. Playing it was not developed well, and so like PC gamers are very particular about those kind of things. They kind of feel like you're screwing them over, or they kind of feel like you're taking them for granted. It's out of any gaming community that's out there, it's the PC gaming community that will be like, F you, we're not buying your game, and you'll feel it, you'll know it, and we see that with other fandoms or other gaming communities, and they talk that talk, but they don't really walk it. PC gamers do. I say all this to say that like it makes sense for day and date for them because the kind of day and date for live service games, because the kind of games that they're making are games that are wildly popular on PC. Potentially some of their single player games might be something that's super popular depending on the kind of game. They may want to, do day and date for that. But what it really comes down to is making sure that like you are maximizing the resources that you have and your potential revenue, your potential revenue gains at that time. Yeah, come to PC later on and potentially cultivate a new ecosystem for you where some of these games might grow to be more popular than they currently are right now. But I think PC gamers they like what they like, and there are games that will remain popular to the point where like their concurrent numbers on a daily basis is in the millions, that a console guy will look at and be like, y'all like that? Like, y'all want to play that? What? And it's just like, yeah, that's what they playing. They're not trying to play. They don't care how great the Uncharted collection looks. They're trying to play League of Legends. So it's just, and that's a massive, significant number of that 200 million gamers are guys that just like, they just want to play CSGO. They just want to play Valorant.
Well, and that's a really good point. Like there's, again, going back to the, aggressiveness PC, right? In the leap to, it means day and date. Remember that Sony also used to make EverQuest. And so there would be absolutely nothing wrong with them pulling a creative assembly, right? With a Sega, or I should say a Sega and a creative assembly, and say, hey, I'm going to open another studio to make PC specific games. There wouldn't be any problem with that. And that again could be a way for them to approach better margin. When it comes to mobile, right? Like Arodimus is saying in the chat, right? They already bought one mobile studio. When they've put games on mobile before, they've been entirely different games. So one of the possibilities about being more aggressive is, again, right, looking at different types of creative content, looking at ways of, like Blizzard has done. I don't think, it's what I would point to as success, but, if you want to take that Diablo title that they did, where they put it both on mobile and PC, that could be something where there's better synergy, where they could gain margin. So my point is that, as we've been talking about, right, there's 99 bajillion different variables and possibilities, and like why people are jumping to this one singular way and then being like super aggressive and insistent that it can only be that, and that it makes sense when they haven't done the math that I just talked through. Right? I just don't understand it, other than ascribing it to console wars and people wanting to score a win in the matter of brand defense versus brand defense.
Yeah, and look, as a primary PC gamer, I would love for them to go day and date for me, because I would never have to deal with blurry visuals like I'm dealing with Rebirth right now ever again. No more blurry visuals, because my 4080 Super ain't nothing blurry over here. Like it's all looking great, nice and crispy. I would love if they do day and date, but I don't see them going there quite yet. I don't see that. And then if they do go there, I mean, like the kind of things they would need to do. We see how they do game development differently than Xbox. Xbox will have, I think sometimes they may use the port studio for it, but typically when you see, say, take Starfield for example, when Bethesda game studios developed Starfield, they developed it in-house on Xbox and PC at the same time. You don't see Sony doing that, and I don't see them where they are laying off developers and they're cutting the fat, they're getting leaner, where they're going to hire in-house specifically developers to work on the PC version of their games. I don't like that. Doesn't track to me as them being quote unquote more aggressive as he was, the COO was talking about. That doesn't really make sense. Now for them in the future to be able to potentially make it to that point, as Logic was saying, getting more studios like Nixxes that specialize in porting games to PC. They're good at it. They're extremely good at it. They can do multiple games at once. They can really work in that environment and work with the studios, understand their game engines, and take that load off of them where they don't have to worry about that. Getting more studios to do that would definitely be something in the future that potentially could be something they do, but like that takes time. And getting those studios in house and knowing that they're quality and acquiring them and working with them. I mean, Nixxes doesn't do all the ports right now anyway. Like they got Jetpack Interactive that did the port for God of War. If they nail God of War Ragnarok, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they do acquire them. They kind of make sure they always have them to kind of work with their studios in the future. But we're talking like next generation. I mean, like we're talking like 2028 here. You know, people are talking like the very next first party release. Well, technically, the very next first party release is going to be on PC day and date because it's a live service game. But we're talking about like the very next single player game. Like people are talking like what is it? Wolverine, like Wolverine guaranteed day and date on PC, and that's not likely. I don't think that's likely. Forza, you got any? Go ahead, Logic.
You said a good point. Like it's a foregone conclusion, and they've already said. I mean, well, two things they've already said. They've already said that they're doing live service games day and date. So I don't know why people are insisting that that's some win and some great insight. The corporation has said that that's what they're going to do. The other thing is that they've talked about tightening up the lag time between a game coming out on console and a game showing up on PC. And Herman Hulst talked about the fact that the norm has been that you typically see those games arrive on PC 2 years after they show up on console. And he said, expect that will quicken. That it's not going to be day and date, but it will be less than 2 years. So again, we already know that it's going to be somewhere between 12 and 23 months, probably closer to 12. So yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to point out. You were going to ask Forte?
Yeah, I was just asking Forte's opinion about it because he hadn't said nothing in a minute.
Oh no, I was just listening back and forth. Oh man, the whole. I'm trying to think of the best way to kind of put it. I think when it comes to the direction that they're gonna go, because I feel like I don't think you're gonna see another big layoff from them throughout the rest of this year. I think this is pretty much it. I think they'll do some cost measuring, some cost cutting and stuff like that when it comes to like their development side of it. But the biggest thing is I do think within probably a year, within a year to 2 years of them finally coming out with whatever launcher that they develop for PC, that will be the indicator where you think they'll get closer and closer to day and day. They'll get there at some point. I can see a 3-month turnaround, especially where you see like Final Fantasy right now has a if you looked at the fine print on that trailer, it's a 3-month exclusivity to PlayStation before it can go anywhere else. So I wouldn't be surprised.
but the where Square works with that, and just real quick.
Well, no,
like
that's just Square, yeah.
But like even that isn't an indication that the game is going to show up on PC.
Oh, it
like,
may not for another year.
Yeah, because like when they had a year exclusive deal with Remake, and then Remake didn't show up for another 6 months after that year was up on PC. Final Fantasy 16 only had a 6-month timed exclusive, and we're coming up to a year with Final Fantasy 16 still not out on PC yet.
But is Final Fantasy 7 published by PlayStation on?
No.
That's what I'm saying. So
no Final Fantasy is published by PlayStation.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, but so it's published by Square Enix. I just think the games that PlayStation published themselves, because I think it's going to get to the point where instead of having particular studios port their games over when it comes to their first party, you're going to see them starting to port them over themselves. Because isn't Helldivers ported over by PlayStation Studios, basically? I think it's the publisher is PlayStation on that game, isn't it, on PC?
Yeah. Actually, let me look. I'm gonna double check that right now.
Yeah,
I think PlayStation is the publisher. I believe so, but I just want to make sure. Because at times in the past they've used 505 Games as a publisher for the, but I don't think they're doing. But that was much early on when they didn't have as much of a presence on PC as they currently do now, and they hadn't announced that they were doing the whole slate on PC. This is okay. Steam Store. What's taking you so long?
Oh, you know how Steam Store is.
Yes, PlayStation. The publisher is actually PlayStation PC LLC.
Oh, really?
Yep, that is the listing there.
So is that going to probably be the new name once they get their launcher? How everything's going to go through there? Probably. Who knows? That's just a bunch of speculation at this point. But I just think at some point, if you go off of what Totoki said, they still want to make PlayStation the banner system. They still want that to be the system that they wanted to still be the popular system. And I think that is going to be the direction that they're going to go in when it comes to that. I just think for the most part, you're going to see a scenario where PlayStation is going to still release their games closer not to day and date on PC. Maybe at some point they'll get there. I don't believe it until I see it at this point. But I think if the console ever gets to a point where they can kind of transcend it and actually get really, really good adoption rate in their ecosystem on PC, then that's when you'll see they'll kind of lighten up the load on that a little bit. But for the most part, they're not going to really do anything when it comes to like their console saturation where it's going to really take off until they convince these developers and these publishers to stop making games for PS4 and Xbox 360 or Xbox One, I should say. Because right now, Activision, they have no control over that no more because that's all Xbox at this point, Microsoft and Xbox. So if they want to continue making games for those older systems, they're going to keep doing it and they're going to keep selling over there because that's like the most, engaging popular game that's out in gaming outside of Grand Theft Auto. But when it comes to like EA and it comes to like Grand Theft Auto, because I do think Grand Theft Auto is going to move the needle a lot for next gen. I think that's going to do PlayStation probably more good than most because it's going to pull all those people off of PlayStation 4. And then you're going to see a groundswell of people jumping over to PlayStation 5 because they're going to want to play Grand Theft Auto 6. So I think that's going to really, really help their numbers in general. And I think you're going to get a really good indicator on the business of PlayStation, how they feel about putting their games on PC and how fast it actually comes. Do you think they have the marketing?
Do you think PlayStation has the marketing for Grand Theft?
They would be stupid if they didn't have the marketing.
You being working at GameStop, when do you know who has the marketing for games? Like, do you know it before the general public knows?
Yeah, they'll usually have they'll have some type of marketing kit that they'll say do not open until this day, and you'll put 2 and 2 together, and then you'll find out that there's a Grand Theft Auto showcase coming up around the corner. Matter of fact, when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, I knew probably 3 or 4 weeks before PlayStation announced that they had the deal for that, because it was all marketing that we had in the store that basically talked about it. We just couldn't showcase it until after the reveal. So there's a good chance that definitely will happen again. It would be behooved to them to do something like that. I mean, if they said that this year was going to be a really big year, that they were going to announce a lot of partnerships when it came to third-party partnerships that they were going to have. And with Grand Theft Auto probably towards the end of this year, maybe you'll see something from PlayStation when it comes to a state of play. Depending on what the release date of Grand Theft Auto is, I think that's probably not going to be to the latter half of the end of 2025 anyways, because that's kind of where that game probably is going to sell the most at. Especially if they want to line it up with a system launch like a PS5 Pro, if it doesn't come out this year.
Well, I think with the way the word is, that's coming out this year.
It's coming out this year is what the word is, yeah.
But is that something like they've already shown the game, and there was no, like, they didn't show it at a state of play or at an Xbox developer direct or Xbox showcase.
Yeah,
Rockstar don't need that anyway. They just released the trailer. They just released the trailer and just like and just watch the numbers, like, basically it take over the whole gaming conversation, and it hit mainstream media, as well as people just who aren't even really, like, don't really pay attention to gaming like that was talking about it. I don't think they had a. Okay, go ahead.
This is what's gonna happen when the PlayStation 5 Pro gets announced. They're going to showcase it with Grand Theft Auto, and they're going to show it. They're going to show that game running on a PS5 Pro. That's all they'll have to do.
So even though it's not coming out until like a year later, like a playable version running on the Pro.
No, it'll be like they'll have it like they do with like the dev kit and stuff. It's running on a PS5 dev kit, but when people see the word PS5 on the screen saying playing on PS5 Pro, that's all they're going to see, and they're going to see Grand Theft Auto, and they're going to be like, "Yo, I got to get a PS5." That's what's going to happen.
Well, it better be running at 60 FPS. If it's not running at 60 frames per second, do not bother.
Well, that's why I think it's going to be PS5 and not just. I mean, PS5 Pro and not just PS5. I think.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The PS5 Pro better be running that game at 60 FPS.
What's the purpose of a PS5 Pro if it's not at that point? Like, why would you even?
They didn't make it just to do a port for a performance mode. No,
I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about in general. Like if GT in general, if you. We got to get past this, man. We got to get past this whole 60 frames and 30 frames per second thing. Like, we were supposed to get past that with the PS5 and the Series X.
Well, the hardware can't do it. It can't do it, Captain. What's the Star Trek reference? We don't have enough power.
How about this? We stop trying to show eye candy at 4K with medium settings and do 1440p, scale back the visuals, and then do sharper textures and get better frame rates. And then we'll be better.
But they're already doing that. They already look. FF16 in combat 720p. To keep 60 FPS, and it only really stuck at 60 frames per second in combat when the resolution was dropped to 720p.
Is that why the game looks so blurry?
Well, it looks blurry in combat, and out of combat it doesn't look blurry, but out of combat is when it's not sticking, the 60 FPS the whole time. These consoles can't. They can't get it done, man.
Well, we didn't say that when they first came out, though. That wasn't what everybody was.
But there was a lot of hype in marketing, and there was also a lot of content creators hyping up things they didn't understand, using terms they don't know, hyping it up too. Like everyone fell hook, line, and sinker for the monsters to eat monsters for breakfast, and that monster can't eat a poodle. So it's just.
So basically,
Forte, all that stuff that Forte said, we need to drop it down into third gear, pump the brake, flip it over. That just sounds like a really great. That just sounded like a really great NVIDIA commercial.
Which one?
For a PC GPU. Everything that you just said was a console excuse that just says go out and buy a PC.
That's what I was going to say. So basically, what we're saying is, even with the PS5 Pro being on the horizon, don't even look at that thing. Just go buy a PC. Because you ain't gonna get what you want with you think
especially
you ain't gonna
with it
get
coming in over $500. It's not. I mean,
it's gonna be like 600. I think it's gonna be like $600.
They're not gonna drop the price of the. It's being rumored that the PS5 is still gonna be $500. So if that system is still sitting at $500, they're not coming no less than $600.
Yeah.
At that point, just buy a PC. Now,
I'm not spending $600 on that.
Now, maybe this is just the hope in me, hoping that Grand Theft Auto can run at 60 frames per second on that system. But of course, I won't bank on it. At a certain point, I'm at a point now where I look at these games and I'm like, if I could just play it on my PC, I'm gonna play it on my PC. If I have to play on console, I will. And I think that's the thing. But that's also the other thing too. Grand Theft Auto's not coming to PC day and date. So are you going to stick with your PS5, or are you going to look at that PS5 Pro when they show it to you on the screen and going to be like, I need to get as much performance as possible if I'm going to play that game?
If I did not own a PlayStation 5,
you would get a Pro.
And I would get a Pro to play that game. I own a PS5. I am not buying a $600 PS5 Pro just to play that. I'm not doing it.
I'm gonna tell you right now what I'm gonna do. PS5 Pro gets announced at the end of this year. Right now, PS4s are trading in. PS5s are Slims are trading in for $350 plus your discount and the $25 extra they're giving you. That means that system's trading in for $437 right now. So if I could trade in my system right now for $437 towards a PS5 Pro and only pay $180 for it, I'm doing it.
I'm not paying $180 on top of $70. That's so $180 plus the $70 for the game is $250.
Hold on, man. You just literally.
Do not do Forte math with me right now, because you're about to say something that's not inaccurate. You're about to say something that's not true.
No, you just literally just bought $1,000 graphics card.
That's what I knew you was about to say. I did not spend the money you just said I spent on the graphics card.
Oh, matter of fact, you still got the graphics card. Don't you still got your old one because of the situation you in right now? So technically you did pay what, $700 minus the $300 you got for gifts and gift cards.
Yeah, so what's that got to do with me saying I did not spend that. Forte, you just hear what you just said.
Logic.
No. Did you just hear what you just said?
Don't come to me, because you know I'm going to defend slow-mo. You know I don't care if you slow-mo.
Really?
I got a 4070 showing up tomorrow. Super. I can't say anything. Yes.
Why? You got a 4090.
No, I don't have a 4090. I have a 4080.
Oh, no, you don't have a 40. You got a 4080. What? Yes. Why do you have?
Because he has multiple PCs.
Yes, because I'm putting it in a box that has a 3060 Ti in it right now.
What is that computer used for? Streaming?
It's used for all kinds of stuff, man.
Like what?
Why are you asking these questions?
Exactly.
No, we can watch Pornhub on our PlayStations now, man. We don't need a PC for that no more.
Okay, you don't need a PC for that. To go back to Forte math again, I did not spend $1,000 on a GPU. I didn't spend. I spent $750 on a GPU that retails for $1,000 before taxes. After taxes, I spent $750, and then I'm going to sell my 3080 Ti, and I basically would have only spent like $200 at the most.
I love how we're just
the purpose here.
I love how we're discounting the fact that you just got a gift card. Just because somebody gave you gift cards don't mean you didn't spend those gift cards.
I don't care, because that's what I spent. Not by me.
They could have got spent on anything. You spent them on a graphics card.
Okay, still means I didn't spend $1,000 on the GPU. Thank you.
That receipt said $1,000 on the slow-mo. It said 1,000. What is your sales tax in your state?
I bought it in
8%?
Virginia, so that's like 5.8%. I think is Virginia.
5.8. So you paid $1,058.
I didn't know it didn't. No, I didn't. No.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
That's what that receipt said, isn't it?
No, the receipt said $750.
No.
So
total sales
at the bottom is after gift cards.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. After gift
That's
cards.
The total sale at the bottom. Why would total sale at the bottom be a price I didn't pay?
No, total sale at the bottom. No, total sale
this is a GameStop manager right here. I swear. Your ideas of retail is so different than the rest of the world.
So slow-mo. Let me ask. So PlayStation right now. So a PlayStation 5 in your state would cost $528 after taxes. If you used $100 gift card to go towards that price, that means so what you're saying is if I use $100 gift card to take off of $528, that you only pay $428 for that system. That's what you're telling me.
Duh. Yeah, that's why people use gift cards.
Even knowing the bottom of the receipt says a total price of $528.
That's not what the bottom part of the receipt is. What you actually paid. You do know, like they take off like for discounts and stuff.
No. Discounts happen before you swipe any type of tender amount. Slow-mo. Let's be for real here. A discount is when, this is 20% off today when you buy it with this item, or if you buy during this holiday sale, you get $100 off. That is a discounted sale before the transaction. If you go to a register and sales tax is applied to something, whatever that sale tax applies it to, and before you swipe any tender, any amount of money or anything you pay for, that is your subtotal plus taxes.
How much did I pay for, Tay?
Why you hating on people for loving video games?
No, I'm hating because Slow-mo sitting up here talking about he ain't gonna buy a PS5 Pro and it's like not worth it. When this man just spent $1,000 on the graphics card.
I did not spend $1,000 on the graphics card.
You are crazy.
I didn't spend $1,000 on the graphics card, and I'm not spending what would be nearly $700 on a PS5 Pro to pay. I say $700 because then you have to add in the fact that you're still buying the game.
No, Yobi, because you know I'm right. Yobi, you know I'm right. He says, Forte, why you being so nosy, bro? You listen, because you know I'm right. You know I'm absolutely right.
You're not. No one agrees with you. You're not right.
Okay, we're gonna let this go.
You are not correct, sir.
GPUs all the time. Look, Rodimus shaking his head at you, bro.
I'm gonna buy another GPU. I'm gonna buy.
Yobi just said you are not right. Yobi just said you are not right.
Yobi, come on, Yobi. Yeah, he's talking to you.
Slow-mo said because I'm right, and Yobi said no because you're not right. I didn't say I was right. This man is in this.
I didn't spend $1,000 on the GPU.
You spent $1,000 on the GPU, dog. Let's just call it what it is. I did not spend $1,000
on the GPU. I'm also not going to spend.
Somebody blessed you with a $300 gift card does not mean that gift card did not go towards the purchase of the thing you bought.
Okay, so did I spend that money? Did that money come out of my account? Yes or no?
What Yobi says, the man has the receipt in his hand. He made the purchase, and he is telling you he didn't spend $1,000.
Thank you. That's right, Yobi.
Okay.
I didn't spend $1,000. And to go back to the point, for someone like myself, to really only play, because once it comes to PC, I don't care if it's a PS5 Pro and it's a significant like uplift in performance and visuals over a PS5. My current build right now is still more powerful than what that PS5 Pro will eventually come out to be. So when GTA 6 comes out, what are you really paying for? You're gonna spend $600 on the console and then the $70 on the game to play it for a year?
Yeah.
That's just a year. Once the year is up, you're spending another $70 to play it on PC, and you're only going to play that version. You're not going to play, and they definitely will probably, unlike with GTA 5, have cloud saves, across the board where you can just take the progress you were doing in GTA Online and bring it over to another platform. Right. There's just no reason to do it. Like, if you already have the console, sure. But like, even if I didn't own a PS5, I don't see myself buying that Pro in the game. If it was an exclusive that I know it's never coming to PC, all right then. All right, and I really want to play it like that.
You said this.
Did either one of you guys have? Did either one of you guys have the PS4 Pro?
I never got
that. I had one.
He had one. I didn't.
What game was it that tipped you over the edge?
There was no reason for the PS4 Pro. PS4 Pro was for VR. It wasn't for games.
Okay.
So why? So you just bought one because
I didn't buy it.
Oh, now I'm gonna use the same logic. Yes, you did. You did buy it. You did buy. You spent $400 on it.
No. You're right. I did
same
buy
logic
it
you're giving me.
I did buy it by working at my job and them furnishing me with one for free. in my time invested.
This man will twist logic just to be right. You see this working game logic. Do you see Forte logic in play? This man decided to flip it. He just admitted he didn't. He got it for free. He just admitted it. Didn't realize it contradicts what he's been saying towards me and said, "Nah, I did pay for it." I can't believe this guy.
That was just out of the goodness of their heart.
No, yeah, but the only difference is my compensation didn't involve me going in my pocket at all.
No, so you work and you don't make any sacrifices.
My sacrifice was time invested.
Look at Sammy Davis Jr. over here tap dancing. Good grief.
Oh my God. I'm about to take Yobi, I gave you moderating stat. I'm about to take it back. You keep talking mess.
Let's go, Yobi. Forte, please mute your mic, sir. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Forte 0 slow-mo 50. I think it's more than 50 now, Yobi. It's more like 150. But man, I really love how you walked right into that one, Forte. That's amazing.
You like how I maneuvered my way right back to where I was. Square zero, yes, right where I need to be at.
Yep, you say so.
No money exchange hands there.
But he's gonna take that GPU and he's gonna be able to sell it, and it's gonna really. I mean, a PS5 Pro, let's face it, is the same as buying a new car. You're gonna drive it off the lot. It's immediately gonna lose a large part.
Oh, not my PS5 Pro. My PS5 Pro went for $300 towards my PS5 when I got rid of it.
Your PS4 Pro did?
Man, sure did. That I didn't pay for at all.
The point still stands. He's going to be able to take that GPU and do something with it. You can't do anything with the time that you sacrifice being at work.
No, that's true. You're right about that.
You're already out of that.
I will give him the fact that I paid with it with the blood, sweat, and tears of working 40-hour work weeks every day for that year that it came out. That was payment. You're right. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Hey, we know what you go through during holiday season. You know damn well you paid for that PS4 Pro.
You're right. I deserved it. I deserved it. I want PlayStation to give me a PS5. That's what they need to get, because I deserve that too.
Anywho, as I was saying, I'm going to buy another GPU this year. I'm going to get the Intel Battle Mage series. I'm supporting the market because I want there to be more competition, and Nvidia stop price gouging the hell out of the rest of us. And I think Intel Battlemage might be pretty decent. And if the drivers are good enough, I will put that in my son's PC. He can use that.
I look at it a little different. I look at it a little different with Nvidia. Part of me wants them to stop price gouging people. Part of me wants it to continue because I have stock in them and it keeps going up.
Well, that's going to go up, but because of their
because of the AI. It's
AI
going up more because
anyway.
of AI.
But no, I guess I know because we're way off topic now. I'm getting one because I always want to have a backup GPU in case I got an RMA, either mine or my son's, and there's a GPU that I can kind of put in place while the RMA is happening. And I don't currently have a backup GPU. I could use my 3080 Ti for that, but I think I'd much rather sell it because the value of it is still pretty good. It's selling for like $500-$600 on eBay right now, so I'm going to sell that
for $400.
No, I want the money.
I said 400.
500 minimum is what no.
It's got a broken clip.
I bought a new clip for, and that's not even on the GPU. That's an adapter. Where did I get this from? Newegg. It actually just came in. It came in today, so I'm putting it on the
$5, $10.
No, it's 25.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, so look, and I'm gonna include the NVIDIA one where the clip is broken as well. So the person who buys it can just have both. They'll have the one that's much longer, that doesn't have the broken clip on the end that connects to the GPU, and you can get the NVIDIA one too. Oh well, yeah. But no, because look, I am a eBay seller that likes to make sure that when I sell something, people are giving me the 100%. This was great. It came 100%.
Oh, okay.
Everything I've sold on eBay, everyone loves. It's well, at least the buyer loves. Not everyone, but yeah, the buyer loves it. All right. Let's get out of here, man. He's very salty. He's so salty right now.
Once again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to you guys. We really appreciate it. DPS Podcast 169 is in the books. I would like to say thank you to our guest, the man, the myth, the legend. He's the opposite of slow-mo. He actually knows what he's talking about.
Wow.
Game logic.
Please. Salty.
You gotta send me out weaponizing me being on the show.
Yes, I am, because it's not too many people that's smart enough for me to say what I just said about that, because most of the people are just as smart as slow-mo. But that was probably a dig too. I'm sorry. But Game Logic, really appreciate you coming to the show.
I'm not offended because I know where it's coming from. It's coming from a place of deep hurt because he's wrong and everyone knows it.
Oh my God! Shut up! Stop it! This show is already going at 1:00 in the morning. And shout out, dude! 19 people still here at 12:42 in the morning. We really appreciate it. Thanks again, as always. But Logic, what you got going on? If you want to be found, tell people where they can find you, and we definitely need to have you back on the show more often, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man. People can catch up with me. Of course, you can catch me on the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time over on Brap's channel. You can catch me on my own show that I do with some longtime friends, the Enough to Keep Going Weekly Games Podcast on the E2KG Network Podcasting channel on YouTube. And Tuesday nights, although I don't have a time slot that I've set it on yet, but Tuesday nights, you can catch me on Talking About Games, which is a solo cast that I do, where I do a deep dive into the financial, technical, and historical matters behind games in the stories in the gaming news cycle. So if you see an article that's kind of going around, I take one of those articles, because I write the script about 3 days before the show. Pull up a lot of history, do a lot of research, and then, like I said, I go into those articles, I go into those stories and cover them in a lot more detail than you'll typically see on websites that cover the gaming news.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And the man, the myth, the legend, the man that I love having these back and forths with, even during He was definitely wrong, and I see why Yobi was supporting him so much, because he is supposed to be helping him with a PC build. So I understand where that love came from.
So you're basically questioning Yobi's integrity now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I sure am right now, but we still support you, Yobi. We love you to death, man. Appreciate everything you do for us in the community.
Not love you enough. He apparently doesn't love you enough not to lie on you. But go ahead.
Well, listen, I'm just going off what that man said in the chat. So that man said that he discussed with you. He called you Brody. You know when when a person calls you Brody, that means they that's like you they mans. You the man, dog. You the man. Yodi says that's all damn lies. That's what you're doing. Nah, your support. Kick Rock Forte. Shout out to man. I love Yobi when he's animated like this. It's cool. But no, Slow-Mo, really appreciate it, man. You always bring it, and I love doing this podcast with you, and you're one of the most stand-up people in this community. You piss me off every once in a while, but that's what friends are for. Please let everybody know what you got going on with your channel, and what you're going to be playing over the course of the next week.
I ain't playing nothing but Final Fantasy Rebirth over the next week. I ain't done a lunchtime in slow-mo in a week. I'm gonna do one of those next week for certain. And the videos I'm working on, look, man, they coming. But look, man, it's gonna be Final Fantasy out here, baby. Like, if I make a video, it might be a Final Fantasy video. That's the way things is looking. So yeah, my bad on that. But this game is monopolizing all of my time. Probably might be the only game this year that will be doing that. And like, I know I need to not ignore the channels and stuff like that and other games and whatnot. So I will probably, like, the guilt will hit me, and I'll be making some content to some degree on this the Slow-Mo Backslap channel and DPS channel. So sub the Slow-Mo Backslap channel, and it's the same name on all platforms. So if you see the name, you know it's me. And hope you guys have a great night. I know it's super late. We need to get out of here. Let you guys go to sleep. But take care, everyone. And once again, just Slow-Mo was right. Forte was wrong, as usual.
Oh my god! and you were on my channel earlier today. Really appreciate it, guys. Check out the YouTube channel if you haven't. It's Gaming Forte. We were over there earlier, like I said, and been making a lot of videos. Made one about PlayStation, a couple ones about Xbox, and we're getting back into the grind to make videos again. It's being fun. So any love and support on that would be great. Shout out to MASH, shout out to Texas, Corey Hale, your boy Roy, FTW, Donnell Brown, Brat, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Ramon Terrell, Hargy Chidi, Slow-Mo Backsack, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. That is the supporters for our channels. Really appreciate you guys supporting us in that way. And we will see you guys next week on Slow-Mo's channel. And appreciate everything you guys done for us. Slow-Mo, do you have yours?
Yeah, we have Texas, your boy Roy, FTW, Corey Hale, Donnell Brown, Jay 0387, Enrique, Hargy Shani, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Gaming Forte, and that guy Smitty. Thank you guys. We appreciate you more than you even know. And we're definitely gonna get out of here so we can go to sleep. Well, some of us go to sleep. Some of us might be playing a video game. I don't know who. I'm not saying it was me. It might be me. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, peace out, guys.
See you guys later. Yobi, love you. Congregation dismissed.
Peace, guys. All right, we're done.